Chapter 81 Mao Yue Xiyan and Moonlight Blast. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 81, Mao Yue's Sunset Face and Moonlight Blast. Uchiha Qiaoshan's senses were still very sensitive. Although Uzumaki Xiyan's muttering was very quiet, Uchiha Qiaoshan still heard some movement. Uchiha Qiaoshan turned his head and said in a gentle tone to Uzumaki Xiyan, who had just woken up, "Are you awake? Don't you want to sleep a little longer?" Uzumaki Xiyan saw Uchiha Qiaoshan looking over, and she didn't know if he heard what she just said. The man stood up with a swish, his face flushed, and he stammered, Qiaoshan-kun, it's already rested. After saying this, I almost wanted to stuff my head into the cracks of the ground. Uchiha Qiaoshan smiled and nodded. Just when he was about to say something, he suddenly frowned and turned his head to Uzumaki Karin, and his daughter, Uzumaki Karin, who had been sleeping, also woke up at this time. After a full night's rest, although she still looked sick, she was much better than before, and there was a bit of color on her face. Yuzuki Yugan, who was standing aside, saw Uchiha Okayama's attention being drawn to Uzumaki Karin, and she breathed a sigh of relief. After all, it was so embarrassing just now. She was discovered by the person involved when she was infatuated, and she couldn't wait to immediately. He ran all the way to his home in Konoha village, closed the door and never came out again. Uzumaki Karin yawned with satisfaction. After all, when she was in Kuzukure village, she was always on tenterhooks, and she was often called out at night to have chakra sucked by the wounded. She was in a state of lack of rest and chakra all day long. I haven't been so relaxed for a long time, taking a break without being disturbed. This is also the people of Chaoin village trying to catch a fish. Otherwise, even with the physique of the Uzumaki clan, it would be impossible for them to be sucked to death alive. After all, Uzumaki Karin is actually a young mother in her 20s, and her own recovery ability is still very strong. After a peaceful sleep, her body has improved somewhat. After Uzumaki Karin woke up, she found her daughter Karin sleeping next to her, and she felt relieved. She understands that Uchiha Kiwama used genjutsu to knock her out last night. After all, her weak body is a pure burden in itself. Whether Uchiha Kiwama knocks her out or not is actually the same thing. She had long been accustomed to this kind of thing when she stayed in Chaoin village. As long as she could give her daughter a bright future, she didn't care about any of this. Uzumaki Karin looked around, stretched out her hand to hold Misaka's Karetsu, who was sleeping next to her, in her arms, and walked towards Uchiha Okayama. Uchiha Okayama saw Uzumaki Karin walking towards him, and out of politeness, he walked towards her, while Kakashi, who was on the side, also walked over when he saw this. Uzumaki Karin came to Uchiha Qiaoshan and Kakashi. Before she could speak, she bowed deeply to them and then said, "Thank you two ninja masters of Konoha village for bringing our mother and daughter out of the woods. We were rescued from Chaoin village, otherwise, our mother and daughter would have died there sooner or later." Ever since Kakashi was knocked down by Uchiha Qiaoshan with a look, he has consciously put Uchiha Qiaoshan as the leader. After all, Uchiha Qiaoshan will become the captain of the ANBU sooner or later. He will not be embarrassed if he takes him as the leader, so when Uzumaki Karin thanked him, Kakashi wisely did not answer, but left everything to Uchiha Qiaoshan. Uchiha Okayama saw Uzumaki Karin bowing to thank them, but he gave a weak support and said, "As long as you mother and daughter can be safe, you're welcome. It's ours to rescue you mother and daughter from Kuzukure village. Mission: now that we have rescued you, we will definitely send your mother and daughter to Konoha village safely. Your main task now is to take good care of your body. Xiang Phosphorus is still young and she needs you to accompany her to grow up. Don't worry, the village will not force you. You just need to live a stable life." Uzumaki Karin was moved to tears when she heard Uchiha Okayama's words. After all, only those who have experienced suffering will understand how precious a stable life is. Since the three Uchiha Okayamas had safely rescued Uzumaki Karin and her daughter from Kuzukure village, there was no need to worry on the way back. After all, there were two weaklings like Uzumaki Karin and her daughter in the team. Not suitable for traveling quickly. Besides, after a night of traveling, Uchiha Okayama and his party have arrived at the border between the country of fire and the country of grass. Even if the people from Kuzukure village want to pursue them, they don't have the courage to cross the border and come to the country of fire. Kill them. So Uchiha Qiaoshan and his party walked and stopped on the way back, not in a hurry at all, and the relationship between Uchiha Qiaoshan and Yuzuki Yugao also heated up rapidly in these days. Lang Yofei is interested in concubine. The two of them moved together and kept vigil together. Although they didn't have much close contact, after all, there was someone next to them, they took care of each other and exchanged many glances. During this period, Uchiha Okayama also asked Yuzuki Yugao about Moonlight Hayate. It turned out that the two were taught by the same teacher. They were both good at Konoha-style swordsmanship, Dance of the Three Suns and Moons. The two of them joined the ANBU together with their excellent swordsmanship. However, their relationship is just an ordinary senior brother and junior sister. Yuzuki Yugan has just joined ANBU. Before the two of them had time to create sparks, they were intercepted by Uchiha Okayama. Uchiha Okayama knew about the relationship between Yuzuki Yugao and Gekko Hayate, and he was also very happy. After all, he was not a thief, so how could he like a wife, and he didn't want to be a third party involved. Since Yuzuki Yugao hadn't fallen in love yet, then it couldn't be better. On their way back, Uchiha Okayama also asked Yuzuki Yugan to demonstrate the Konoha-style swordsmanship she was good at. The Dance of the Three Crescent Moon, the Dance of the Mikazuki was demonstrated by Yuzuki Yugao, but it was very pleasing to the eye. While admiring it, Uchiha Qiaoshan opened the Mangekyo Sharingan and copied the Dance of the Mikazuki. After all, art is not a burden. Uchiha Qiaoshan did not hide it. When copying, he copied it openly, and then the two started to discuss it on the way back. I don't know if the level of swordsmanship between the two has improved, but the relationship between the two has become a bit closer. Uchiha Qiaoshan has a hunch that when they go back to hand over the task, something exciting will happen. After all, since Mikoto-san became pregnant, Uchiha Qiaoshan has not eaten meat for a long time. Although Uchiha Qiaoshan and his group were not in a special hurry, Uchiha Qiaoshan and Yuzuki Yugao still felt that time passed quickly. On the way back, Yuzuki Yugan taught Uchiha Qiaoshan swordsmanship, and Uchiha Qiaoshan taught Yuzuki Yugan the illusion technique. The two of them went back and forth, and I taught you how to learn. Before you knew it, you had arrived at the entrance of Konoha village. As for Uzumaki Karin and her daughter, during their unhurried return journey, their bodies have recovered somewhat, and they are at least able to do some things that ordinary people can do. Chapter 82 Uzumaki Karin, Mother and Daughter, and Naruto. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 82, Uzumaki Karin, Mother and Daughter, and Naruto. Soon, Uchiha Qiaoshan and his party passed through the gate and came to the Hokage building, where they met the third Hokage. The third Hokage first welcomed Uzumaki Karin and his daughter with a smile, and reassured them. Then he arranged for professionals to take Uzumaki Karin and his daughter out and find a place to settle down. Then he praised the three of Uchiha Kiwama and asked about the general process. Uchiha Kiwama and Kakashi answered in turn, making the third Hokage nod frequently. Finally, the third Hokage let Kakashi and Yuzuki Yugan go home to rest, leaving only Uchiha Qiaoshan. Uchiha Qiaoshan also roughly guessed what was going on, and glanced at the worried Yuzuki Yugan, saying that he was fine. Let her go first. Although Mao Yue Xiyan was a little worried, she still obeyed and retreated. After Kakashi and Yuzuki Yugan left, the third Hokage also asked the people on duty in the dark to leave. He picked up his pipe and took a puff before saying, "Qiaoshan, what arrangements should Uzumaki Karin and her daughter make?" Uchiha Qiaoshan pondered for a moment. Let's just arrange it normally. It doesn't need to be too special. I promised them when I picked up their mother and daughter that I wouldn't force them to become ninjas. It depends on their wishes. Also, arrange them closer to Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Karin is Naruto's aunt. After all, Naruto is the fourth generation's child. Konoha has treated Naruto too badly in this regard by arranging Uzumaki Karin. Be there for him and take care of him. Moreover, even if Uzumaki Karin knew that Naruto was a Jinchuriki, she would not discriminate against him. With this arrangement, she would also have an explanation for the fourth generation. The third Hokage heard Uchiha Qiaoshan's words and opened his mouth, wanting to say something. After all, He made Naruto so miserable and made everyone reject him because he could occupy an important position in Naruto's world. The position made Naruto, a Jinchuriki, obedient to him even if he grew up. If Uzumaki Karin is placed next to Naruto, and they are all from the Uzumaki clan, and based on the relationship between Uzumaki Karin and Uzumaki Kushina, they will definitely take care of Naruto as their own son. In this case, Uzumaki Karin will quickly replacing the position he occupied in Naruto's heart with the third Hokage would be detrimental to the third Hokage's future plans. However, the third Hokage opened his mouth, but still did not say anything against it. His life now depends on Uchiha Kiwama's thoughts. If he told Uchiha Kiwama the reasons for his objections and his dirty and selfish plans, he would not be able to save himself. Exposing his ugly heart in front of Uchiha Xiaoshan gave him another reason to kill himself, but it had no effect. In the end, the third Hokage could only let out a muffled hum, indicating that he understood. Uchiha Okayama glanced at the third Hokage. He had already known about the third Hokage's plan, but he was just too lazy to expose it. As for Uzumaki Naruto, he really felt that he had suffered a lot. As the son of the fourth Hokage, not only did he not enjoy any special treatment since he was a child, but he was also plotted against by the third Hokage and Shimura Danzo. He had been soaked in bitter waters since he was a child. Big, you are looking at Konohamaru, the grandson of the third Hokage. Good guy, he is as good as Naruto. Not only does the whole village know that he is the grandson of the third Hokage, they tolerate him in every way. Even before he goes to school, he was assigned a special jounin who was good at teaching to be his tutor. And what about Naruto? As the son of the fourth Hokage, not only does his life not have a guarantee and he eats expired food, but the people around him hate him and even abuse him. This is Naruto. If you had another person as the protagonist, you would have been killed long ago. He turned black and transformed into the Nine Tails, raising the entire Konoha to the ground. In fact, Uchiha Xiaoshan is not against privileges, because wherever there are people, there will be privileges. Uchiha Xiaoshan can now be called a privileged person whether in the Uchiha clan or in Konoha village. What Uchiha Kiwama is disgusted with is that you have clearly arranged for your grandson to have all kinds of privileged education, and you have trained the son of a hero to be your tool. This is what makes Uchiha Kiwama chill. Therefore, Uchiha Xiaoshan arranged Uzumaki Karin and her daughter near Uzumaki Naruto. In this case, it can be regarded as some compensation to Naruto. Moreover, he also wanted to see if Naruto, who grew up with his childhood sweetheart, would still miss the so-called Sakura. After Uchiha Okayama arranged for Uzumaki Karin, her daughter, and Naruto, he felt a little irritable and asked the third generation angrily, "Is there anything else? If there is nothing, I will go back." The third Hokage heard that Uchiha Xiaoshan wanted to go back and said quickly, "Xiaoshan-kun, I copied all the information you asked me to prepare. When I was ready, I put it in the secret room. Just wait a moment and I will get it to you right away." After the third Hokage finished speaking, without waiting for Uchiha Okayama's reaction, he put down the pipe in his hand, got up and went to the secret room behind him. Uchiha Okayama watched as the third Hokage ran back and forth 5 times before he took out the dozen scrolls as big as the sealed book that he had prepared and placed them all on the table in the Hokage's office. After the third Hokage brought all the information over, he began to introduce it to Uchiha Xiaoshan. "This time I made a copy of all the information in the village, including all the ninjutsu, secret techniques, and secret medicines in the village. Prescriptions, introduction to various blood inheritance limits, ninjutsu and secret techniques that each family is good at, barrier techniques, medical ninjutsu, induction ninjutsu and the wood escape ninjutsu left by the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, all aspects are covered. And also the information collected about the ninja world, the secrets, the strength of each force and the ninjutsu they are good at are introduced and collected." Uchiha Okayama was very happy to see that the information collected by the third Hokage was so comprehensive. This time, the third Hokage had collected all the information left by the Senju clan, Konoha village, and various families in the village, accumulated over so many years. "I packed it and gave it to Uchiha Kiwama to make a copy. As long as Uchiha Xiaoshan holds this information, even if the entire Konoha village is destroyed, he can rely on this information to restore Konoha village to its original state. Since these scrolls are sealed scrolls, there is actually much more information sealed inside than what he saw. So it is impossible for Uchiha Kyosan to seal them in a scroll and take them away, since there was no one else around, just the third Hokage, who was still controlled by his own gods and would not reveal his secrets. So Uchiha Kyosan directly opened the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and used the pupil technique Takamagara to put the third Hokage in. All the information on the table was sent to a prepared room in the villa on Takamagara Island. The third Hokage on the side was an experienced old fox. When Uchiha Kyosan transferred the scroll on the table, he recognized the ninjutsu used by Uchiha Kyosan. However, even though he was experienced and sophisticated, he couldn't bear it. He took a breath of cold air, hiss, time and space ninjutsu. Chapter 83 Silly Girl Mao Yue Xiyan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 83 Silly Girl Mao Yue Xiyan. The third Hokage saw Uchiha Kyosan move all the scrolls on the table and took a breath, hiss, time and space ninjutsu. You know, the third Hokage may not be ranked high in the ninja world in terms of strength, but in terms of knowledge and vision, he is definitely one of the best in the ninja world. The third Hokage did not expect that Uchiha Kyosan not only had top-level illusions that could control them silently, but was also proficient in time and space ninjutsu. You know, in the ninja world, as long as it involves time and space ninjutsu, it is definitely superior. No matter how strong you are, as long as you are proficient in time and space ninjutsu, your strength will definitely increase by at least 2 levels. Even if you are not good at fighting, your ability to run away and save your life will make you the top being in the ninja world, just like the 4th generation Hokage Namikaze Minato, who was proficient in the time and space ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God. If it was not for the sake of accompanying his wife and his responsibility as a Hokage, he used the forbidden jutsu, Ghoul Seal, which would have led to his death. It can be said that in the ninja world at that time, as long as he didn't want to die, no one could kill him. Just when the third Hokage was thinking about it, Uchiha Kyosan had already swept away the scrolls on his desk, looked up at the third Hokage who was still in a state of shock, and said, "I know the time and space ninjutsu. You just keep it rotten in your stomach and don't tell anyone about it." When the third Hokage heard what Uchiha Kyosan said, he looked at him deeply and nodded in agreement. He didn't expect that Uchiha Kyosan was hiding so deeply, and that he and Shimura Danzo were not wronged. Uchiha Kyosan stretched himself. He wanted to go back to rest early and visit Mikoto-san. He hadn't seen Mikoto-san for so long. He didn't know how he was doing. The third Hokage also saw that Uchiha Kyosan wanted to leave, so he kept the story short. "Kyo-san-kun, Shimura Danzo's information is ready. Do you think you should go there or let him send the information directly?" Uchiha Kyosan was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Danzo to be ready. You know, he has a lot of experimental data, which is not easy to organize. It seems that he has the habit of organizing data before, otherwise, organizing experimental data is troublesome. Uchiha Kyosan said, "Ask him to send the information to you. I won't go to his dark place. If I see something that makes me uncomfortable, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself and I'll kill him directly." Got it done. The third Hokage nodded in understanding. He didn't like going to the root base either. Going there once would remind him of his former disciple Orochimaru, and he would be heartbroken. The third Hokage continued, "Also, Danzo has given the order to return to the pharmacist Nono, who is on a mission outside. It is expected that he will be back in half a month. As for the secret technique of Yunin Village, Thunder Release, the follow-up to armor has not yet been figured out." Uchiha Kyosan nodded and ordered, "When Medicine Master Nonoyu comes back, let her get out of her roots and come to me directly to report. All her information will be destroyed. As for the follow-up of the Thunder Escape armor, don't be anxious. Put your own safety first. I'm not in a hurry to use it anyway." The second stage of the Thunder armor is just an icing on the cake for Uchiha Kyosan, and it does not greatly improve his strength. Moreover, Uchiha Okayama estimated that once he has copied the Uzumaki clan's physique and bloodline of Uzumaki Karin and Uzumaki Naruto, and improved his own physique, he can go directly to the Raikage to copy his achievements. The Thunder Escape armor. It's just that he may have to endure some hardships, but by then, his body will already have the physique of the Uzumaki clan and the incomplete version of the immortal's body. It is estimated that it will be durable enough and can withstand the Deshang version of the Thunder Escape armor. The third Hokage nodded when he heard what Uchiha Qiaoshan said. Since Uchiha Qiaoshan was not in a hurry, there was no need to risk the spies lurking in Kumogakure village. After all, a successful spy still has great value. By the time Uchiha Okayama came out of the Hokage building, the sky was already a little dark. There was no way. Uchiha Qiaoshan not only had to wait for Shimura Danzo's information, but also discussed with the third Hokage on what excuse and in what way to transfer some supplies to the Uchiha clan. After all, Uchiha is such a big family. Daily eating, drinking, and having sex require a huge amount of resources. Although the Uchiha clan has its own inventory, Uchiha Okayama is still very happy to be able to prostitute the Leaf Village for free. Moreover, according to Uchiha Qiaoshan's plan for the Uchiha clan, the most important thing now is to develop itself, encourage the clan members to have more children, and strengthen the clan. Even the deputy chief of Uchiha Qiaoshan leads by example and asks Mikoto's sister to help. As for small things like making money to support the family, let the Leaf Village support them first. After the fourth ninja war has passed, it will be time for the Uchiha clan to emerge and sweep everything, so by the time Uchiha Qiaoshan finished all these things, it was already getting late, and just when Uchiha Qiaoshan left the Hokage building and walked towards the Uchiha clan, he just walked through a street. Uchiha Qiaoshan suddenly seemed to feel something. Looking towards the end of the street, he found Uzumaki Xiyan. She didn't go back to rest, but stood at the end of the street waiting for him. The evening breeze blew by, picking up some of her hair, and vividly accentuating the beauty of a young girl. Uchiha Qiaoshan saw Uzumaki Xiyan waiting for him cutely there, smiled slightly, then walked over, came to Uzumaki Xiyan, and stretched out his hand towards her. When Uzumaki Xiyan saw Uchiha Qiaoshan's movements, her face blushed slightly, but she also stretched out her hand and placed it in Uchiha Qiaoshan's hand. Uchiha Qiaoshan took Uzumaki Xiyan's hand and did not stop, pulling her towards the Uchiha clan's clan. While walking, Uchiha Qiaoshan asked, "Why didn't you go back to rest? You still have to wait for me, aren't you tired?" That at this time, a blush had already dyed Uzumaki Xiyan's ears. When he heard Uchiha Qiaoshan's words, he said quietly but firmly, "I'm a little worried about you. Kakashi-senpai and I both came out, and I stayed alone. I'm a little worried. After all, the Uchiha clan just had a conflict with Shimura Danzo some time ago. I don't know the position of the third Hokage, so I'm worried that the third Hokage will embarrass you. I'm a petty person, and there is no other way. I can only wait for you here. I'm still thinking, if you don't come out when it gets dark, I will run to the Uchiha clan to report the news. At least let your clan know that you are being kept by the third Hokage." When Uchiha Qiaoshan heard Uzumaki Xiyan's words, he felt that the softest part of his heart was hit hard. His eyes were full of tenderness as he looked at this silly girl with a red face and lowered her head. Chapter 84 Mao Yue Xiyan enters the wolf's den. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 84 Mao Yue Xiyan enters the wolf's den. Uchiha Qiaoshan lowered his head and looked at this silly girl Uzumaki Xiyan gently. As an elite ninja who can enter the ANBU, he is not the kind of kid who hangs out in a ninja school. Since he was able to enter the ANBU, he must have undergone a series of trainings, and he knew the confidentiality regulations by heart. It was impossible for Uzumaki Xiyan not to know the consequences of doing so. As the department directly under the third Hokage, the ANBU's top priority is its loyalty to the third Hokage. If Uzumaki Yugao informs the Uchiha clan because Uchiha Okayama was left behind by the third Hokage, if he is exposed, the least serious thing he can do is to be expelled from the ANBU. And if there is a dark history of being expelled from the ANBU, Uzumaki Xiyan's ninja path will be cut off, and he can only be an ordinary civilian. There is still a possibility being monitored at all times. The heaviest punishment would be to be deprived of his status as a ninja and a civilian, and be imprisoned for no less than 10 years. When he is released, he will also be expelled from Konoha village and will not be able to live or stay in Konoha village. Don't be fooled by the Naruto anime. The anime is all about relaxation and comedy, but the reality is, Konoha Village is the largest ninja village in the ninja world, and it is also the largest semi-military management village in the ninja world. Therefore, management in Konoha Village is very strict and cannot tolerate any betrayal. Since Yuzuki Yugao, this silly girl, is ready to inform the Uchiha clan, it means that she is ready to bear the consequences. As for deceiving Uchiha Qiaoshan, that is impossible, since Uchiha Okayama opened the Manjikyu Sharingan, his mental power has increased dramatically, his spiritual sense is extremely sensitive, equivalent to half a sentient ninja, and he can clearly distinguish whether others are deceiving him or not. In vain. Unless Yuzuki Yugan already had the attainments of old foxes like Orochimaru and the third Hokage at such a young age, neither Jiraiya nor Tsunade had this ability. Uchiha Qiaoshan resisted the urge to put his hand on Yuzuki Xian's head and rub it, but just shook Yuzuki Xian's hand vigorously. Yuzuki Xian felt Uchiha Qiaoshan's emotional fluctuations from her hands, raised her head that was lowered like a quail just now, looked up at Uchiha Qiaoshan, read the words in his eyes, and replied to Uchiha Qiaoshan. Gave a bright smile. The setting sun shone on Yuzuki Shi's rosy face, her bright smile full of sunshine, and the gentle breeze caressing her hair. All of this seemed to shine into Uchiha Okayama's heart. Uchiha Qiaoshan was stunned for a moment and said nothing. He just grabbed Yuzuki Xian's hand and pulled her forward. You must be hungry too. Seeing how hard you have worked so hard, I will treat you to dinner tonight. Barbecue, feel free to eat and be satisfied. Yuzuki Xian felt Uchiha Qiaoshan hold her hand tightly, a bright smile appeared on her face again, and she nodded heavily, yes. Don't worry, I can eat well. Uchiha Qiaoshan took Yuzuki Yugan to have a big meal at the famous barbecue restaurant in Konoha Village. Uchiha Qiaoshan has been eating a lot since he practiced the thunder armor, and Yuzuki Yugan also practices swordsmanship and taijutsu. She doesn't live apart from other families, so she is also a girl who can eat. The two of them ate barbecue for 10 people at the barbecue restaurant. Uchiha Okayama ate for 6 people, and Yuzuki Yugao ate for 4 people. People in the barbecue restaurant frequently looked at them to see if they were from the Akimichi clan. After Uchiha Okayama and Yuzuki Yugao finished eating barbecue, they both had just returned from their missions, so they had no desire to go shopping. The two walked hand in hand on the street for a while. Uchiha Qiaoshan tentatively led Yuzuki Yugan to the Uchiha clan's clan. Yuzuki Xian sensed Uchiha Qiaoshan's intention, glanced at him quickly, and pretended Tsukuru didn't know, but he walked in the direction led by Uchiha Qiaoshan, but his face was unknowingly stained with a blush. Uchiha Okayama saw Yuzuki Yugan following him without any objection, seemingly calm but actually ecstatic, so he pulled Yuzuki Yugan all the way into the Uchiha clan's territory and came to his home. Since it was still not very late, although the Uchiha tribe was not very lively, there were still many Uchiha tribesmen chatting outside. These people saw that their Uchiha young talented deputy chief had led a young man for the first time. When the girls came back, they all stopped talking and looked at Yuzuki Xian curiously. It's okay for the older ones, just looking at them with understanding and curiosity. After all, their young deputy chief is also old and has reached the age of dating a girlfriend, and those young Uchiha girls are looking at Yuzuki Xian. Her eyes seem to be on fire, as if she had done something outrageous. You know, Uchiha Qiaoshan is the #1 master of the Uchiha clan. He has overshadowed Uchiha Shisui, and his appearance is top-notch in the Uchiha clan, where they are all handsome men and beautiful women, so he is the leader of many Uchiha clan. A girl's perfect match. This was also because Uchiha Qiaoshan was ready to run away at any time before he got the system, so he deliberately kept a distance from them, otherwise, he would have had some confidant. It was only when Yuzuki Xian came to the Uchiha clan that she realized how popular Uchiha Qiaoshan was. Along the way, Yuzuki Xian was hard-headed and fearful, fearing that any girl would not be able to bear it and directly just make trouble for yourself. Yuzuki Xian thought too much. You must know that Uchiha Qiaoshan is not only the top master of the Uchiha clan, but also the deputy clan leader of the Uchiha clan. His power are second only to the clan leader and the great elder. In this strict hierarchy, in the era of, no matter how dissatisfied the Uchiha girls were, they did not care if they were causing trouble for Uzuki Yugao. Moreover, all the elites of the Uchiha clan were transferred to Whirlpool Island, and what remained was their strength. He was not very strong, and he was not sure that he could defeat Uzuki Yugao, who was already a special jounin, so Uzuki Yugao arrived at Uchiha Okayama's home safely. After Uzuki Yugan entered Uchiha Okayama's home, her tense body finally relaxed. Uzuki Yugan exaggeratedly patted her chest, causing waves, and said, "I'm so nervous. I didn't expect you to be so popular in your clan, but you haven't seen that those Uchiha girls look at me as if they want to eat me." Uchiha Okayama closed the door and looked at Uzuki Xiyan talking with a smile. As time went by, Uzuki Xiyan's voice became smaller and smaller. Obviously, Uzuki Xiyan also realized that this was just out of the wolf's den and into the tiger's den. With Uchiha Qiaoshan closing the door, the girls outside could no longer threaten her. Now, the most dangerous person was Uchiha Qiaoshan himself. As time passed by, the atmosphere between the two became more and more ambiguous, and Uzuki Xiyan's heartbeat became faster and faster, as if it was about to jump out of her throat. With her head lowered, Mao Yue Xiyan could only feel that a figure was getting closer and closer to her. Chapter 85 Night Exercise and Morning Exercise. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Uchiha Qiaoshan got closer and closer, Uzuki Xiyan wanted to hide away, but it seemed that he had no strength in his body, so he could only wait there. As Uchiha Qiaoshan's rapid breathing came closer and closer, Uzuki Xiyan also raised her head and closed her eyes, as if welcoming the arrival of Uchiha Qiaoshan. That night, the two people discussed the meaning of life, going back and forth and confronting each other. Uchiha Qiaoshan also launched a charge against Uzuki Yugao, with 3 attacks and 3 falls, killing her until she lost her armor and was unable to resist. Uzuki Yugan was also an unconvinced person. Although it was her first time to face the enemy in Uchiha Qiaoshan's battle, she dared to provoke and never fell behind. In this long night, Mao Yue Xiyan completely opened the door to life and knew the secret of life. After the first time, he pestered Uchiha Qiaoshan for the second and third time. Since Mao Yue Xiyan was really inexperienced, she responded hastily. Unlike Uchiha Qiaoshan, Uchiha Qiaoshan has learned from Mikoto-san many times, and he is better than his master. He beat Mikoto-san to the point where she lost her armor, let alone Uzuki Yugao, who is addicted to food. Of course, the guy was submissive after being punished. On the third time, he waved the white flag and raised his hands to surrender. At first, Uchiha Qiaoshan was a little patient and unbuttoned the buttons one by one. Later, due to the impulse of his body, he lost his patience and ripped them off directly. Uchiha Okayama looked at Uzuki Yugao beneath him with admiration, while Uzuki Yugao closed his eyes shyly. Uchiha Qiaoshan resisted his impulse and asked in a hoarse voice, "Shogao, should I start?" That when Uzuki Xiyan heard Uchiha Qiaoshan's words, she did not open her eyes that had been closed for a long time. She just nodded slightly and a small voice came from her mouth, "Well, please have mercy on me, Mr. Qiaoshan." Uchiha Okayama, who was almost unable to bear it, couldn't bear it anymore when he heard Uzuki Yugao's agreement. With a low roar, he turned into a beast and pounced on him. Since Uzuki Yugao was new to human affairs and could not compare with Uchiha Qiaoshan, he tried his best in one go, then failed again and again. He was soon defeated by Uchiha Qiaoshan and surrendered one after another. Uchiha Qiaoshan won 3 victories in 3 battles. Although he was still a little unhappy, he felt sorry for Uzuki Yugao for the first time, so he spared her, declared his victory and achievements, and finally hugged Uzuki Yugao. Fall into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, when the morning sunlight shone in through the window, Uchiha Qiaoshan woke up in high spirits. Uchiha Qiaoshan raised his head and looked at the sun, and then looked at Shinshensi who was still sleeping on the bed. The dark moon and sunset face. Seeing that it was still early, Uchiha Qiaoshan stretched out his hand. Uzuki Xiyan felt someone groping her in a daze. She quickly opened her eyes and saw that it was Uchiha Qiaoshan. She was stunned for a moment. Then, the memory of last night revived in her mind. Mao Yue Xiyan's face turned redder and redder, and then she hid under the quilt. "I'm too embarrassed to see people. I acted too boldly yesterday and shouted too loudly. Uchiha Okayama saw Uzumaki Xiyan wake up and looked at her hiding under the quilt in a funny way, like an ostrich. Can you still hide under the quilt for a day? Uchiha Okayama slowly coaxed Uzumaki Xiyan out of the quilt, held her in his arms and comforted her. While comforting her, his hands were not idle at the same time. Uzumaki Xiyan was touched and confused, and finally, he was confused again. Being pinned down by Uchiha Xiyan, he began to explore the meaning of life. Uzumaki Xiyan didn't expect that she had lost 3 games in a row last night, and was forced to fight again this morning. She thought she could get a win, but she didn't expect that Uchiha Xiyan had the blessing of the morning, and she lost 2 games in a row. After a night's rest, I should have been full of energy. Unexpectedly, in the morning, I was already like a puddle of mud, limp on the bed, and fell into a deep sleep again. After Uchiha Xiyan's morning exercise, he felt that his whole body came to life and was full of strength. If he hadn't looked at Uzumaki Xiyan and couldn't hold it anymore, he would have pulled her for 2 more rounds. Uchiha Okayama first separated into a shadow clone and went to buy a breakfast, then left the shadow clone at home with Uzumaki Xiyan who was sleeping, while he walked out, planning to go to Sister Mikoto's place to see how it was going. Uchiha Xiyan originally planned to go see it last night, but something delayed him yesterday, so early this morning, Uchiha Xiyan couldn't hold himself back. After making arrangements for Uzumaki Xiyan, he came to Sister Mikoto's house. It happened that Sister Mikoto was having breakfast at home, and Uchiha Xiyan was not polite. He said hello to Sister Mikoto, ruffled Uchiha Sasuke's hair, and at the same time nodded at the little maids Uchiha Izumi and Uchiha Haha who were standing next to them. Nodding, he sat down and had a peaceful breakfast. The 2 little maids were not surprised. The deputy patriarch of Uchiha Xiyan was Uchiha Sasuke's master. He could be said to be half the master of the family. So after Uchiha Xiyan sat down, the 2 of them began to help Uchiha in a hurry. Uchiha Xiyan served him breakfast with soup and dishes. The smile on Uchiha Mikoto's face never disappeared after Uchiha Xiyan arrived. Knowing that Uchiha Xiyan could eat it, she directed Uchiha Izumi to fry more eggs and sausages. She had already finished them herself. Laughing, he watched Uchiha Xiyan wolfing down his meal. Uchiha Sasuke on the side was secretly looking at Uchiha Xiyan. He knew that the person in front of him was his master, but he said that in this world, besides his parents and brother, he was the closest person to him, and he would also be there in the future. Teach yourself how to practice and strive to become as powerful a person as him. Uchiha Sasuke does not reject Uchiha Xiyan's closeness to him. Although the 2 of them do not have much contact, his playmates are very envious of him having the top master of the Uchiha clan as his master. Although he does not say it, but he was also very proud and his vanity was greatly satisfied. Therefore, Uchiha Sasuke was willing to get close to this man who brought him honor from the bottom of his heart. Uchiha Okayama was eating breakfast while talking to Mikoto-san, and by the way, he told her in a rather subtle way to pay attention to her health, ensure the health of herself and her baby, go to bed early and get up early, and exercise appropriately. Uchiha Mikoto's concern for Uchiha Xiyan also applies to her heart. She was in high spirits, had a great appetite, and even ate more breakfast. Chapter 86. Find out the 6th generation of your ancestors. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 86. Check the 6th generation of your ancestors. After Uchiha Xiyan had a breakfast with Mikoto-san, he didn't stay here any longer. After all, there were 2 little maids working as light bulbs nearby, and Uchiha Xiyan couldn't be too close to Mikoto-san. Uchiha Okayama just teased Uchiha Izumi and Uchiha Yi, and then asked Uchiha Sasuke about his homework, then said hello to Sister Mikoto and walked out of the door casually. It was just a way to have breakfast. Uchiha Xiyan's main purpose of coming to Mikoto-san's house was to see Mikoto-san. Now that he had finished watching it, he saw that Mikoto-san was in better condition, so he felt relieved, and just when Uchiha Xiyan was about to go home and see Uzumaki Xiyan, he was suddenly approached by the Great Elder's people and invited him to the Great Elder's house, saying that the Great Elder had something to do with him. When Uchiha Xiyan received the news that the Great Elder was looking for him, he knew something in his heart. First, he made a shadow clone and went home to talk to Yu Xiyan. Otherwise, he was afraid that the silly girl would think too much and think that he would not care about her after he succeeded. Then, Uchiha Choshan turned around and walked towards the elder's house. When Uchiha Choshan arrived at the elder's house, the elder Uchiha Ling was already waiting in the living room. Uchiha Choshan was not polite, picked up the tea that the elder had poured for him, and started drinking it. I had just finished breakfast and was feeling thirsty. The great elder did not rush to tell him the purpose of calling him here this time. Instead, he slowly drank tea with Uchiha Choshan. When Uchiha Choshan drank 2 cups of tea and no longer felt thirsty, the elder talked to himself about the recent development of Whirlpool Island by the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Choshan had just returned from a mission outside and was not ready yet. Understanding the situation, he listened patiently to the great elder's words. The current Uzumaki Island has been sorted out by people sent by the Uchiha clan. The large beasts that can hurt people on the island have been cleared away. The remaining ones are no longer relevant to ordinary Uchiha. The clansmen can no longer pose a threat, and since Whirlpool Island is surrounded by whirlpools and undercurrents, no ordinary civilians have settled on the island. Only some criminals and pirates who fled the land have secret strongholds on the island, and the Uchiha people have easily removed them. These people were interrogated, and those who committed serious crimes were put to death, while those who committed minor crimes were imprisoned. After a period of time, when the Uchiha clan built their clan territory, they could be used as free labor. Now that the second phase is complete, the people in the third phase have been organized by the elder when Uchiha Choshan left the village to do the mission. They are waiting for Uchiha Choshan to come back and send these people there. When Uchiha Choshan heard this, he suddenly remembered something and raised his hand to interrupt the great elder's words. The great elder Uchiha Ling stopped talking when he saw Uchiha Choshan raise his hand. Instead, he looked at himself in confusion, not knowing what Uchiha Choshan meant by interrupting him. Seeing that the elder was a little confused, Uchiha Choshan smiled and said to the elder with a smile, "Elder, let me show you something." The great elder looked at Uchiha Choshan's expression, which felt a little proud and tail-raised, and nodded hesitantly. He also wanted to see how many surprises the person in front of him could give him. Uchiha Choshan coughed, then stretched out his hand and opened his palm towards the elder. As Uchiha Choshan thought, he saw a vine grow out of nothing in his hand, and the vine grew faster and faster, growing rapidly around Uchiha Choshan and the great elder, and soon the entire reception room was filled. The great elder Uchiha Ling was dumbfounded when vines grew out of Uchiha Okayama's palm. He never thought that he would be able to see Mudoin again in his lifetime, and that he would see it on an Uchiha tribesman who had activated the Mangekyo Sharingan. Arrived, the great elder just watched helplessly as the vine filled the entire reception room, as if his brain had shut down and he could not react in any way. Just after Uchiha Choshan filled the reception room with vines with wooden escape, and while he was drinking tea leisurely, the great elder finally came to his senses. He first reached out and touched the vine spreading around him to make sure that it's all real, not some trick played by Uchiha Okayama using genjutsu. Then, he quickly took out a small scroll from his arms. It was the genealogy carried by the great elder. Anyone who belonged to the Uchiha clan had records on it. However, in order to reduce the size of the scroll, the words on it were deliberately written as the size of green beans. Anyway, the Uchiha clan is good at the Sharingan, so there is no such thing as presbyopia. The great elder quickly searched for the genealogy and muttered in a low voice, "It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be. I remember the genealogy of important people in the Uchiha clan clearly. This kid Uchiha Choshan counts 3 generations up. They are all pure Uchiha clan. I will check again to see if there is anything missing, or my memory is no longer good. I have not remembered such an important thing, but it is wrong. If there is any Uchiha clan and Senju people from the same clan hook up, how could I not remember such an important thing?" While drinking tea, Uchiha Choshan looked at the elder who was busy there with some speechlessness, and said helplessly, "First elder, there is no need to check anymore. I, Uchiha Choshan, am a pure Uchiha clan, and there is absolutely no Senju clan in me. Bloodline." But at this time, how could the great elder listen to what Uchiha Choshan said? "If you say you don't have it, then you won't. Even Mudoin has awakened. If you say you don't have the blood of the Senju clan, who will believe it?" When the elder heard what Uchiha Choshan said, he just glanced at him and ignored him. He read through the family tree attentively and put the scroll very close to his eyes. Although there was no problem with his eyesight, he suddenly saw presbyopia. Posture. Seeing that the great elder ignored him, Uchiha Choshan was a little helpless. He rolled his eyes and continued to drink tea, waiting for the great elder to finish checking the family tree. Time passed in this minute and second. Just when Uchiha Choshan drank 2 pots of tea and felt like going to the toilet, the great elder finally raised his head from the family tree. The great elder Uchiha Ling closed his eyes tiredly, pinched the bridge of his nose between his eyes with his hand, and said angrily, "Tell me, how did you get Mu done?" "I first checked your 3 generations of ancestors. They are all pure Uchiha clan, and then I checked 3 generations up, and it was still the same. I couldn't check it any higher. The next time I checked it, it involved most of the Uchiha clan, and it was meaningless. The blood of the Senju clan, it is impossible for it to be passed on to you for another 6 generations before it awakens in you. This bloodline is too thin and cannot meet the conditions for Mu Dun to awaken." Chapter 87 The Great Elder's Worries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing that the elder was finally willing to raise his head and listen to him, Uchiha Choshan put down the cup in his hand and said, "It's a long story." Seeing that Uchiha Choshan was still in his formal form, the great elder also stared and his tone became more serious. "Then let's make a long story short." Seeing that the elder was really anxious, Uchiha Choshan said honestly, "I copied it." Then he stopped talking. The great elder waited for a while and saw that Uchiha Choshan was silent and asked, "No more?" Uchiha Choshan nodded honestly, "No more." A group of blue veins suddenly appeared on the great elder's forehead, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Where is it? Who copied it? Why can you copy it? If you don't explain it clearly, you can't leave today." Uchiha Choshan saw that the elder was really anxious, so he really didn't dare to tease him. The elder was very kind to him. If he really beat himself, he wouldn't dare to fight back, so he said honestly, "Of course, I say that with reservations. The great elder should know that I had a nickname called the Pupil of Replication. Later, after I opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, I awakened a pupil technique called the Pupillary of Replication. The function of this pupil technique is to copy some blood in a limited way, following limits and occult techniques." The great elder was also surprised when he heard about the ability of Uchiha Choshan's pupil technique. After all, this is a very powerful pupil technique. As long as it is used well, it will greatly improve the strength. However, the great elder still did not interrupt Uchiha Choshan, motioning for him to continue speaking. Uchiha Choshan received the signal from the elder and continued, "I went to report to the 3rd Hokage some time ago and entered the ANBU. After entering the ANBU, I accidentally met a member of the ANBU. That person actually knew how to use the weapon that only the 1st Hokage could use. Senju Hashirama knows how to use the wood release. I suspect that he is a descendant of the Senju clan and was arranged by the 3rd Hokage to join the ANBU. Just in time, I awakened the pupil technique of the replication eye, so I quietly followed him a few times and came across him practicing wood release at the training ground. I copied his wood release and wood release ninjutsu. However, based on my observation and comparing it with the information left by our Uchiha clan, this ninja who can use wood release has a big difference in power between the wood release he uses and the wood release used by Senju Hashirama. If the wood release used by Senju Hashirama is Super Kage level, then the wood release used by that wood release ninja is at the level of an elite ninja and cannot even reach the shadow level. Of course Uchiha Okayama can't say that I have controlled the 3rd Hokage and Shimura Danzo and asked them to bring the wooden ninja over and let me copy it. If the great elder knew that he was now the actual leader of Konoha village, he would immediately let him cooperate, invest all the Uchiha clan members in Konoha village, and let the Uchiha clan control Konoha village. After all, this is the long-cherished wish of a generation of Uchiha. Uchiha Choshan finally managed to get the Uchiha clan out of the big pit of Konoha village, but he can't come in again. Now let the Uchiha clan develop silently on Whirlpool Island. When Uchiha Xiaoshan reaches the 6 paths level, he can compete with the 6 paths sage. When it comes to arm wrestling, it's never too late to get out of the mountain. After the great elder waited for Uchiha Okayama to finish speaking, he did not speak, but began to think silently. For a moment, there was no movement in the entire reception room, except for the sound of the great elder's index finger tapping the table from time to time. Uchiha Okayama did not speak, but quietly put away the vines that had just surrounded the reception room. The elder thought for a while and suddenly sighed. I didn't expect that there is still would escape, and the 3rd generation Hokage secretly hides it. The 3rd generation Hokage is a very thoughtful old guy. Since he has hidden the would escape ninja in the Umbu Choshan, although your strength is very high now, you must be careful when performing tasks in Anbu. After our Uchiha clan completely moves out of Konoha village, you will also there is no need to deal with the 3rd generation of Suyu, you can come back directly. Uchiha Choshan did not refute, but said with a smile, it's okay, great elder, you can encounter many interesting things in Anbu, and I can also get training. Moreover, you know my current strength, even in Konoha village is also one of the best. The 3rd Hokage is different from Danzo Shimura. He will not attack me easily without being completely sure. Besides, I am now regarded as the subordinate of the 3rd Hokage. He is at least on the surface. Will not treat me badly. The great elder Uchiha Ling also knew that what Uchiha Choshan said was right, so he felt relieved. And then as if he remembered something, he straightened his face. Then tell me what's going on with your pupil technique. It's so important. As long as you use it well, your pupil technique can completely raise your strength to another level. You don't even discuss it with me, an old man. Although my strength is not as strong as yours, my life experience is wider than yours. At least I'll help you get advice and give you advice. When Uchiha Choshan heard the elder's words, he could only nod in agreement. He couldn't tell the elder that he knew more about this ninja world than he did, and even knew the plot behind it. So he told the great elder about the function of his pupil technique, the replicated pupil. When the great elder heard about the functions and limitations of Uchiha Okayama's pupil technique, he also began to think about it, and murmured in his mouth, if we talk about the limits of secret arts and blood inheritance, then of course the 5 shadows of the 5 great kingdoms are the most powerful in the past, and the most eye-catching among them is the fusion of wind, fire, earth, and 3 attributes of the 2nd and 3rd generation earth shadows. Secondly, the 2nd generation Tsukuyomi's unique invisibility technique is also very valuable. Unfortunately, he is dead, and I have not heard of anyone inheriting his ninjutsu. There is also the 3rd and 4th Reikage secret technique, Thunder Armor, which is also pretty good. When the 3rd was alive, he relied on it to make a name for himself and claimed to be able to fight tailed beasts. This can be considered. There is also the water-fused, Thunder attribute Lon done in their village, which is also very powerful, so you can try it. The current 5th Mizukage Terumi May of Water Country can also use boiling release and melting release, as well as their village's ice release. There is also the magnetic escape of the 3rd Kazekage, which is also very powerful and can have the advantage of flying. Uchiha Xiaoshan looked at the great elder talking there and didn't feel annoyed at all. Instead, he felt very happy because someone cared about you and used his life experience to pave the way for you, just to let you go further. At this moment, the great elder suddenly remembered and asked Uchiha Choshan, what was the purpose of showing me the wooden escape you copied just now? You don't seem to be the kind of person who just wants to show off. When Uchiha Xiaoshan heard what the elder said, he patted his head helplessly. After talking for a long time, he finally got to the point. Uchiha Xiaoshan looked around and found that this was not a place for display, so with the consent of the elder, the great elder brought him into his Gao Tianyuan space. Chapter 88 The Art of 3 Rooms and 1 Hall and the Art of Enchantment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 88, 3 Rooms and 1 Hall Technique and Barrier Technique. The great elder Uchiha Ling stood on the highest point of Takamagara Island, looking at the entire island, and said, although this is not the first time I have seen this space, it is still very shocking. Choshan, your pupil technique is like a god. A gift to you, and you are the one chosen by the gods. It was your arrival that saved the entire Uchiha. Also, this time I came here, I feel that this island is bigger than before. It seems that your strength has been qualitatively improved again, Shan. From now on, this world belongs to you young people, so work hard, Shan. Uchiha Shan could only nod in agreement when he heard the Great Elder's words. Immediately afterwards, Uchiha Shan brought the Great Elder to an open space. Great Elder, I brought you here this time because I copied this ninjutsu by the way when I copied the wood escape ninjutsu before. With that said, Uchiha Shan formed a seal and used the ninjutsu wood release, for pillar house without waiting for the elder to speak. After using wood release in Uchiha Shan, the Great Elder saw that in just a few seconds, a wooden house that could accommodate a family of 5 was built on the open space in front of him, and Uchiha Shan sat on the roof of this house and said, Great Elder, how is this ninjutsu of mine? The Great Elder walked into the house, raised his hand and knocked on the pillars and walls of the house. He was amazed. The quality is good. This is the first time I have heard and seen this wooden ninjutsu. It should have been developed by the wooden ninja himself. The creation is very suitable for establishing a clan territory. Then, the Great Elder raised his head, looked at Uchiha Shan on the roof, and asked, Is this wood release ninjutsu very expensive? Will it have a bad impact on you? That when Uchiha Shan heard the Great Elder's question, he jumped down from the top, patted the non-existent dust on his hands, and replied, This wood release ninjutsu does not consume much. With the amount of chakra I have now, at least hundreds of wooden houses like this can be built, and there is an upgraded version of this ninjutsu. If used, it is possible to build a clan that can accommodate our Uchiha clan overnight. When the elder heard what Uchiha Shan said, he couldn't help but circle around the wooden house in front of him twice, confirming the quality of the wooden house, and then said, In this way, the relocation speed of our Uchiha clan can be accelerated. Now as long as we select the clan land and then use earth release to level the land, we can quickly build a new clan land for our Uchiha clan. Uchiha Shan was also very happy when he heard the Great Elder's words. This was the first time since he learned wood release that he had put it to use. Then, he took out a scroll from the ninja bag, handed it to the Great Elder with a smile, and said in a treasure-presenting tone, Great Elder, look at what this is. That the elder looked at Uchiha Shan like a robot cat. He took out something, took it from his hand, opened it and started reading. The Great Elder just opened it and took a look. It was like there was a savage beast inside the scroll. He closed the scroll suddenly and looked at Uchiha Shan in surprise. The Great Elder never thought that Uchiha Shan would take such an important thing. Something came over Uchiha Shan laughed when he saw the elder's surprised expression. No wonder the elder was surprised. This scroll contained the top secret of Konoha village, the barrier technique, that Uchiha Shan extracted from the information given to him by the third Hokage. The barrier around Konoha village that can resist foreign enemies relies on this barrier technique. As long as it exists, the Uchiha clan's territory can be considered impregnable. Although the barrier formed by using this barrier technique cannot resist very powerful enemies, it can still know that an enemy has invaded and know its specific location. The Great Elder opened the scroll and looked at it again and again. Finally, he put it away like a treasure. After all, the Uchiha clan lacked such things now. Of course, Uchiha Shan did not expect that this realm could stop enemies like Black and White Zetsu and Nagato Obito. However, how many such enemies were there in the entire ninja world? The use of barrier techniques was still very great. Uchiha Shan took the elder to wander around this space for a while before taking him out of the space. By the time the two of them came out of the space, the tea on the table had already cooled down. The elder replaced it with a new pot of tea before continuing to discuss matters with Uchiha Shan. Uchiha Shan took the teapot from the elder's hand and poured the tea for the elder and himself before the elder said. In this case, the relocation of the Uchiha clan will be much simpler. Shan, when they finish leveling the selected clan land, it will be up to you. Of course, they can't rely on you in the future. They can only rely on you this time. I will wait for you in the future. We still have to let them do it together, otherwise, they will develop a lazy temperament. Uchiha Shan nodded and agreed. This is what he planned. He is not a nanny. If he can help once, he cannot do it every time. This will not only be a burden to him, but also bad for the atmosphere of the Uchiha clan, making it easy for them to rely on him for everything. Other people, now is the time when the Uchiha clan is working together and working together. This kind of atmosphere has been developed, which is very detrimental to the development of the Uchiha clan. When the two of them finished discussing the recent affairs of the Uchiha clan, the elder said with a smile, "We have finished talking about official matters, now it is time to talk about personal matters." Uchiha Choshan rolled his eyes inwardly when he heard the elder's words. He knew that this old man was looking for him early in the morning, and he definitely had something else to do. It was probably as he guessed. When the elder saw that Uchiha Choshan did not answer, he was not embarrassed and asked with a smile, "I heard that you brought a girl back last night and stayed at home for the night." Uchiha Choshan was not embarrassed. After all, he was at his age and it was time to start a family. There was nothing to be ashamed of. Uchiha Choshan took a sip of tea and said, "Well, I quite like a girl I met in Anbu, and she also likes me." The great elder unconsciously tapped the table with his fingers and organized his words, "Well, you have reached the age where you should find a girlfriend. In fact, I have also found a few girls for you in the clan, and I plan to help you find a girlfriend. I didn't expect you to have come back one by one from outside." The elder paused, and seeing that there was no disgusted expression on Uchiha Choshan's face, he continued, "I'm not stopping you from looking for girls outside, but you should also know that as the number one master of our Uchiha clan, you should always set an example for the clan members. If everyone in the clan is looking for someone to start a family outside like you, then although our Uchiha clan cannot be separated, the cohesion within the clan will be greatly reduced." Chapter 89 The Great Elder Urges Me to Find a Wife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The elder looked at Uchiha Choshan's expression again. The elder knew that at this age, Uchiha Choshan valued love more than life. In addition, Uchiha Choshan has achieved such great achievements at this age, it is impossible not to be proud in his heart, and the most annoying thing for a proud person is when someone tells him what to do. Therefore, when it comes to this matter, the great elder is a little cautious when talking to him. Seeing that there was no impatient expression on Uchiha Choshan's face, the great elder continued, "These are all small things, and they will not shake the foundation of our Uchiha. Moreover, after a while, the whole family will move to the whirlpool. Now that the island is gone, it's not easy to contact people outside of Uchiha." The great elder Uchiha Ling looked into Uchiha Choshan's eyes and became serious. "I came to you this time. What I want to say, in fact, with your intelligence, you should have guessed it. You are the number one master and the number one genius of our Uchiha generation. Your talent has even surpassed that of the past. Uchiha Madara, moreover, you are different from ordinary Uchiha. You have known low-key and hidden clumsiness since you were a child. If other Uchiha clan members had half of your current achievements, they would have turned the Uchiha clan and Konoha village upside down, but you did not. This kind of arrogance is why I think so highly of you. Since you can activate the kaleidoscope, and your pupil technique is much more powerful than the ordinary kaleidoscope pupil technique, it means that the purity of the Uchiha bloodline in you is very high, and may even exceed that of Uchiha Fugaku. So, I hope you can find a girl from our Uchiha clan to continue your bloodline. If you find a woman from a foreign clan to continue your descendants, then the Uchiha clan's bloodline in you will be thinned. Maybe by then, the child even has difficulty opening the Sharingan." Uchiha Choshan was about to speak, but the elder raised his hand to stop him. "I don't care how many women you have outside, and I won't stop you from looking for women outside. I just hope that you can find one or more women within the clan. Can continue the Uchiha bloodline in you. After all, if such a pure bloodline does not continue, I, as the great elder, also have the responsibility. If you have something you like, just tell me and I will do the ideological work. Of course, it is up to you young people to resolve your own affairs. I believe that based on your identity, strength, and face, there should be no girl in the clan who can reject you." Uchiha Choshan opened his mouth, but nothing came out. What did he say? It can't be said that he has found an Uchiha woman, and that woman is pregnant with his child, and that woman is Comrade Fugaku's wife. If the great elder knew about it, he wouldn't have torn him apart. Uchiha Choshan scratched his hair in frustration. Since he had been keeping a distance from the little girls in the clan these years, he was afraid that he would not be able to bear to escape secretly on the night of the genocide. Unexpectedly, now that the night of genocide is over, the great elder has assigned him to find a wife in the Uchiha clan. Finding a wife is not that easy. There must be some emotional basis. How annoying. The great elder told Uchiha Choshan what he meant and kicked him out. Uchiha Okayama stood in the street a little confused. He originally thought that the elder called him to oppose him and Yuzuki Yugao, but in the end he was urging him to find a wife within the clan to continue the bloodline. Well, and now the policy within the clan is the same, to have more children. Poor Uchiha Choshan helped Uchiha Fugaku complete the task, but now he has to complete the task himself. Uchiha Choshan collected his thoughts and walked towards home. He would talk about the future later. Anyway, he was not in a hurry and took his time. By the time Uchiha Okayama returned home, it was already noon. And Uzumaki Xiyan had woken up early and was busy cleaning. After all, Uchiha Choshan hadn't lived at home for a long time. Although it was okay overall, there was still some dust in the corners. In fact, the clan also wanted to arrange a maid for Uchiha Choshan to clean him and boil water for cooking. But there are some secrets in Uchiha Choshan that cannot be revealed to others. For example, he often entered the space at home, and he would summon Sister Mikoto in the middle of the night through the space mark. These things could not be revealed to others, so Uchiha Choshan refused the clan's offer to arrange a maid for him, saying that he did not like to be disturbed, and he was too lazy to clean, so his house inevitably got a lot of dust. After Uzumaki Xiyan got up, she found out where he was going through the shadow clone left by Uchiha Choshan, and she felt at ease. Seeing the dust in Uchiha Okayama's home again, he couldn't restrain himself and started busy cleaning mode. When Uchiha Choshan came back, Yuzuki Yugan's cleaning had come to an end. Uchiha Choshan was about to help with the cleaning, but Yuzuki Yugan stopped him and pushed him out. Uchiha Okayama waited in the yard for a while, and Uzumaki Xiyan came out after cleaning up, and took a shower. By the way, Mao Yue Xiyan, who had just taken a shower, looked up without a face. Water drops dripped down from the tips of her hair, making her moisturized face even more beautiful. After Uzumaki Xiyan came out, she pulled Uchiha Choshan out. They left the Uchiha clan directly and started shopping in the commercial street of Konoha village. Even though Yuzuki Yugan and Uchiha Okayama had just confirmed their relationship, they were still far from meeting their parents, so Uchiha Kayayama accompanied Yuzuki Yugan to go shopping for a long time, and after the two had a meal, Uchiha Okayama delivered Yuzuki Yugan to his doorstep. Uzumaki Xiyan looked at Uchiha Choshan, as if there were 1,000 words in her eyes. It seemed for a while that Uzumaki Xiyan didn't say anything, but kissed Uchiha Choshan, then turned around and went home. Uchiha Choshan watched Uzumaki Xiyan enter the house, then turned and walked towards the house. The great elder has already prepared the third echelon of people, and is waiting to gather at Nanha Temple tomorrow morning, and be sent there by using his pupil technique. Fortunately, his Sharingan has evolved into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and whether it is eye power or chakra, it is much stronger than the one he sent to the second echelon before. Otherwise, just with this a large number of people is enough to make one's eyes itchy for a long time. However, this time he sent his tribe to Whirlpool Island to pick the fruit he had cultivated. Uchiha Itachi's eye technique. After so many days, Uchiha Itachi should have adapted to his Mangekyo Sharingan, and the pupil technique in the Mangekyo should have been conceived long ago. This time when I went to Whirlpool Island, I also wanted to copy Uchiha Itachi's pupil technique. Uchiha Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan awakens earlier than in the original work. I don't know if it will have an impact on his eye skills. I don't know if it is still the previous eye skills, Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi. Uchiha Okayama was looking forward to it. Regardless of whether it was the original pupil technique or not, he would accept it without fail. After all, his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan still needed nourishment to evolve into the legendary Rinnegan eye. Chapter 90 The Divine Power of Uchiha Okayama. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Uchiha Xiaoshan returned home, he did not stay at home. Instead, he left a shadow clone and pretended to rest while he turned around and came to the Takamagara space. Only here could Uchiha Xiaoshan completely let go of his heart. After all, in the outside world there are Uchiha Obito, who is proficient in time and space ninjutsu, and Kagaya's third son, Black Zetsu, both of whom can approach Uchiha Okayama without anyone noticing. Although Uchiha Okayama's spiritual sense is amazing now, Black Zetsu, who has lived for 1,000 years, and Uchiha Obito, who inherited Uchiha Madara's legacy, are not simple characters. Who knows if there is any way for them to avoid his spiritual sense, so, for the sake of safety, Uchiha Xiaoshan still hid in the Takamagara space to rest. You know, when he was resting with Mao Yue Xiyan at home last night, he was on high alert and left 2 shadow clones outside. In fact, as long as Uchiha Xiaoshan can obtain the innate ninjutsu of the Uzumaki clan, Kagura's heart's eye, he will not be afraid of others' sneak attacks. The skill is still a passive skill. You can always turn it on as long as you want, and it consumes very little and will not burden Uchiha Xiaoshan. Uchiha Xiaoshan also covets the bloodline physique of the Uzumaki clan, just to enable him to copy the perfect Uzumaki physique as much as possible. He can only let Uzumaki Karin take care of his body first, and then he can copy Uzumaki Karin's mother and daughter, and Uzumaki Naruto's bloodline physique was obtained by the more perfect Uzumaki clan's bloodline physique. It's just a pity that Uzumaki Kushina is dead, and he can't bring her back again. Otherwise, the Uzumaki bloodline obtained this time will be more perfect, and even if Uchiha Xiaoshan tried his best to bring Uzumaki Kushina, Shiranai was resurrected. By that time, Uchiha Xiaoshan had reached at least the 6 paths level. At that level, Uchiha Xiaoshan did not need these bloodlines very much. After all, there were only at most people who could pass down these bloodlines. 6 levels. However, just in case, Uchiha Xiaoshan still planned to make preparations to resurrect Kushina Uzumaki in case of need, right? Uchiha Xiaoshan said that he definitely did not have any inexplicable thoughts about Uzumaki Kushina, but just in case, in fact, if Uchiha Xiaoshan is debauched or does not take human life seriously, he can completely stuff dozens or hundreds of people in the Takamagara space and let these people serve him. After all, Uchiha Xiaoshan's eyes are now the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can easily control some ordinary people at will. However, Uchiha Xiaoshan's conscience couldn't bear it, and he didn't want to sacrifice others because of his own selfish desires. After Uchiha Xiaoshan returned to the villa in Takamagara space, he completely relaxed and turned into salted fish mode. He made himself a pot of tea and made a fruit plate with some fruits and nut snacks on it. Uchiha Xiaoshan used would escape again and got himself a recliner, so Uchiha Xiaoshan put the deck chair on the balcony, and the table next to it was filled with snacks. Uchiha Xiaoshan was lying on the recliner, drinking tea and eating snacks, while taking out the history of the Uchiha clan and reading it as a novel. The next day, Uchiha Xiaoshan arrived at Nanga Shrine early. He had no choice but to ask the elder to repair it yesterday. Today's matter is another major event about the relocation of the Uchiha clan. If he is not active anymore, he wants to let the great elder deal with him again. When Uchiha Xiaoshan arrived at Nanga Shrine, the great elder was already waiting there. However, the third echelon of personnel has not yet arrived. After all, there is no way to compare people in the third echelon with people in the second echelon. The people in the second echelon are all elite ninjas of the Uchiha clan, who go to Whirlpool Island to fight and clean up the beasts. The people in the third echelon are not only several times that of the second echelon, but their mission is to build the future clan territory of the Uchiha clan in the chosen place. Therefore, most of the people in the third echelon have some specialties and are good at construction. They cannot be asked to meet the requirements of combatants. Therefore, the great elder did not get angry with the messy third echelon people. After all, the personnel were different and the requirements were also different. The great elder saw Uchiha Xiaoshan when he entered Nanga Shrine. The great elder was also happy that Uchiha Xiaoshan could come so early. He smiled and nodded to Uchiha Xiaoshan as a greeting. After Uchiha Xiaoshan arrived at Nanga Shrine, he did not stay there quietly, but walked around inside again. Last time, Uchiha Xiaoshan pulled up the stone tablet left by the Six Paths Sage and threw it into his space. The big hole left in the place has been filled up. I don't know if it was the elder who did it. Anyway, the great elder didn't ask him for the stone tablet, so he pretended not to know. When Uchiha Xiaoshan returned to the gathering place after visiting Nanga Shrine, everyone had already arrived. When these people saw Uchiha Xiaoshan, they all greeted him politely. After all, he is also the deputy leader of the Uchiha clan and the #1 master of the Uchiha clan. Last time, he killed Shimura Danzo and his group who had been hostile to the Uchiha with a knife outside the village, letting them breathe a sigh of relief. Such respect for Uchiha Okayama, since the great elder had already explained everything to them before. After everyone arrived, Uchiha Xiaoshan didn't waste any time. He opened the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan directly, pointed it at them, and used the pupil technique Takamagara, and in one breath the neatly arranged team, with hundreds of people, was sent into the space of Uchiha Hill in one breath. After Uchiha Xiaoshan sent them all to Takamagara, he blinked and felt that there was no discomfort in his eyes, and he couldn't help but feel a little happy. Since the last time he knocked Kakashi unconscious and copied the Kamui technique, Uchiha Xiaoshan not only got a space similar to the Kamui space, but also had space-type attack skills that can twist and tear the space, and jointly it will tear apart the people or objects next to the space. In addition, his pupil technique Gao Tianyuan has also been strengthened to a certain extent, and now he can easily transfer hundreds of people into his space at once, and it may be because his eyes are the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, so his divine power is not as useless as Kakashi's. It still takes such a long time to prepare, as long as it is where his Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can see it. Tearing that place apart in a single thought, or using a little more power, the target can be forcibly teleported into his divine power space.